Welcome to Mishia Madness and Motivation Podcast. This podcast is for anyone wanting to evolve in every aspect of their life. Do you want to be better and live life to your fullest potential? Tune in with your host, blogger, entrepreneur, and beauty executive, Mishia.
So I am just finishing up doing my 30-minute walk. I'm sitting in my car, recording the podcast because today's Thursday. So this is my podcast recording session in my car today. So happy Thursday to everybody out there. Welcome back to the Mishia Madness and Motivation Podcast. I'm Mishia, if you don't know my voice by now. And if you don't know my voice by now, and because you're new, welcome. So excited for you to be here. As you guys may or may not know, I am on my healthy journey. So what that means for me, for the month of October anyway, with this 30-day walking challenge, what me being on this new healthy journey means for me is that I'm walking 30 minutes a day for at least 4 days out of the week. And I've been doing pretty all right with that for the entire month of October. I'm really proud of myself for all of my accountability partners who signed up with me to be a part of this journey with me. Thank you guys so much. We are almost at the last stretch. We have maybe 7 to 9, about a week or more left of October. Little last stretch. We have been doing amazing. I mean, I'm really, really proud of myself because I've even added in 2-minute wind down session after my walks. And I wasn't, stretching in the beginning of this 30-day walking challenge. My goals were to just be more active, and I also wanted to get my flexibility back and just start moving more. And it started off as me walking the 30 minutes, and I wasn't stretching. I also, in the beginning, I still do want a 4-pack. Who doesn't want a 4-pack? But, unless you have a 6-pack, then you don't want a 4-pack. But, I really want a 4-pack, so I was doing little ab workouts in the very beginning, and that did not last long, but I continued with the walks. And when I continued with the walks, what I started to do was implement the stretching at the end. And it's only 2 minutes worth of stretching. I know to get a really good stretch, you can stretch anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour being a really good stretch. So, and I dance ballet in my younger years, so I definitely have experienced the stretch of an hour bar class. So I know a good stretch, and I know that my 2 minutes isn't the best stretch, but I definitely focus in those 2 to 3 minutes and really give the stretch my all. So I'm proud of that. Just wanted to put that out there. So when I'm able to hit my splits again, I'll let y'all know. I'll let y'all know, because right now it's not happening. Right now it is not happening at all. So thank you again to all of my amazing accountability partners. So the 30-day walking challenge, it is basically what me and my accountability partners have agreed to do for the month of October, was to walk 30 minutes a day for at least 4 times a week, meditate for 3 minutes a day, which I do that. That's really easy for me. I pray multiple times a day. I meditate throughout the day. I'm always talking to God. There is not a moment, if I need to speak to God at any moment, I'm going to excuse myself and speak to him, period. At any moment of my day, as soon as I wake up, before I go to bed, before I eat, etc. So most times, honestly, too, before I travel. So that was really easy for me to continue to do, the 3 minutes of meditation, because it's already a part of my routine. But that was also a thing for the 30-day walking challenge. And then also we had to eat 3 servings of vegetables a day. Now, let me tell y'all, this is where I have been struggling, super struggling. And I'm so happy that I've decided to go on this healthy journey, because in doing this 30-day walking challenge this month, what it has shown a light on is that my eating habits are terrible. So I'm just happy that I'm able to get back into the swing of working out and being active and feeling good. And then it definitely showed me that I have terrible eating habits. You know, I'll eat once a day if I even eat that day. If I don't eat that day, I'll eat snacks throughout the day. So the snacks will kind of curb my appetite to where I don't even realize that I've been going throughout my day not eating anything of good nutritional substance. And that's not good because, you know, I'm doing these 30-minute walks. So I'm going to need, like, I need food. I don't know how I'm surviving, how I'm getting through this, but I'm just happy that it's come to my attention now because what am I doing? Like, I don't even know how I'm not out here just passing out, honestly, but shout out to the big God. So moving on, we had to meditate for 3 minutes a day, and we had to eat 3 servings of vegetables a day. So my favorite snacks are the peanut butter crackers or the cookies, like the Nutter Butters, and I like Crimpets, the Tasty Cakes. And I also eat a lot of ice cream. I actually ate a pint of Halo Farm ice cream. If you are from my area or the Trenton, Lawrenceville, Ewing, Princeton area, then you know about Halo Farm. And yeah, I ate a pint of ice cream last night. But I also did eat a full dinner because what happened yesterday was I went for my walk. When I got back home, I went in the deep freezer and took out a chicken. And now it's a whole chicken, but it's a baby chicken. Like, it's not one of those really big chickens. It's a nice sized chicken. It's not small, but it's not huge. It's big enough to where I wanted to cut it up before I cooked it. Now, I couldn't just bake the whole thing, but I still had to cut it to eat it. So I really just wanted to have it cut, and then that way I can, you know, kind of meal prep for myself for the rest of the week, and it'll just be chicken, which is also one of those things that I don't really like about meal prepping, but I think I'm going to start meal prepping. Let me tell you how yesterday I took out this chicken and it defrosted and everything. And then once it defrosted and I went downstairs to start to make dinner, I'm like, oh snap, I don't have any fresh vegetables. What am I going to make for sides? I mean, I honestly would have been okay with eating rice and chicken. I can eat an entire pot of rice to myself, but I was like, you know what? I don't even feel like cooking. I don't feel like going to the grocery store. So instead, I went to Boston Market. I haven't had Boston Market in a really long time. So I went and I got the quarter chicken with the creamy spinach, of course, and their mac and cheese, cornbread. And I also got a slice of their pecan pie. It was so good. It was probably the second time this week that I ate a full meal for dinner. So yeah, I'm definitely going to get better with my eating habits, which is why I mentioned the whole meal prepping thing, because I'm not enthusiastic about meal prepping. And the only reason I'm not is because I don't really like the idea of eating the same thing throughout the week. Like, if I just happen to eat the same thing every day of the week, just by chance or just by feeling of taste bud, then that's okay with me. But to have it preset to eat the same thing, it just, you know, like, not enthusiastic about it. So what I am enthusiastic about, though, is that when I do meal prep, instead of me just snacking, trying to figure out, well, what am I going to eat, or curbing my appetite and not realizing that I'm not eating, I'm going to know that I'm eating a full meal that's nutritious and that I need to intake because it's already going to be prepared. So it's like, girl, you got, you know, 7 dinners in the freaking fridge. You need to eat dinner tonight, you know, kind of thing, instead of trying to figure it out or eating fast food, things that are not healthy, things that don't really make you feel good. So it's like, if I'm going to be doing my 30-minute walk and stuff, I need to stop eating KFC. KFC is literally a vice of mine. I love KFC. It's just, I don't know. It's something about the 4 tenders and the mashed potatoes with the biscuit, with the honey. please. Sometimes I have to dip like a tender into the mashed potatoes, but I like honey mustard, if you were wondering. So yeah, I need to get out of these bad habits. I'd rather eat baked chicken, vegetables, and rice for dinner 7 times a week than to eat KFC 7 times a week. Because then, I'm working out, not for nothing, but it just kind of, it's counterproductive with my healthy journey. And the month of October definitely, like, I cannot deny my terrible eating habits after this month. Like, I swear I can't. So, if you want to see more about my food transformation, follow me on Instagram at Namari Lifestyle. That is the Instagram where I basically keep track of my walking activity and the food that I eat. I haven't posted any testimonials yet. I need to go through my phone. I did take screenshots. I've been taking screenshots as people have been telling me that they're really happy with what they have going on, and people who have taken the liquid vitamin that I take and they really love it. But I just haven't cropped the screenshots and put them presentably together. So that's that. But if if you're a part of this journey with me, then from your own personal testimony. And if you've been watching me and if you follow me over on Namari Lifestyle on Instagram, then, it's all there. So yeah, I just wanted to update you guys on that. Today, I really want to get into today's podcast topic. I felt like I really wanted to talk about how to start a podcast. So I'm not saying that I am the end all be all and that I know everything about starting a podcast. I am still new. This is my 10th month and I'm still pretty new with this. However, in the 10 months, I have learned a lot. I've gone through some challenges with this podcast, and I want to share with you my major tips for starting a podcast. And I just want to clear up a few things that people may think they need for a podcast, and tell people what they actually do need, and just give some friendly advice, some tips. Just take what you can take, leave what you don't need, kind of thing. So take everything, just take it if you want it. If you feel like it can help you, awesome. If not, then I'll see you next episode. The reason why I want to talk about this subject is because I see a lot of people starting up a podcast, and I see a lot of people asking questions about podcasts, and not only podcasts actually, but even recently I had a family member contact me, and they were just asking me some questions about how to start up different creative ventures involving, speaking to people on a platform via audio. I mean, how you're listening to this podcast, or on a YouTube channel, if they were to be being watched, but you can still hear them. So that's what I mean. So my family member hit me up, and they were just asking me some tips on the whole thing. And then I go on Facebook, and I see one of my Facebook friends had asked the question about a podcast, and I'm like, wow, this is just a double confirmation that I need to talk about this on the podcast, because through the beginning of the week, I was thinking of things to talk about with you guys, because I'm going to also touch on that. When you start a podcast, or you're starting a podcast, you just have to always be coming up with different ideas. Not different ideas, because you have to know overall. We're going to get all into it, but you do have to know overall what your message is to your audience, who you want your audience to be, and etc. We're going to get all into that. But before we do, I definitely want to get into the quote of the day. So the quote of the day says, getting an idea should be like sitting on a pin. It should make you jump up and do something. And that is by E.L. Simpson. And I really like that quote because I think that what we're about to talk about, it is really important at the end of the day that no matter what you take from this episode, that if you have the idea of starting a podcast and you're really excited about it and it is like sitting on a pen and you just want to jump up and do something about it, then take what you can and like learn as much as you can and just go for it and just do it. You know, don't procrastinate and don't try to be such a perfectionist that you never put anything out. You have to start. And as you start and as you release things, you'll be able to have a reference point on what you can do to get better, but you definitely have to start first. So that's why I really like that quote. Now, let's get into what we are going to be talking about. So, basically, what I'm going to be talking about is a few tips on how to start a podcast, down to, you know, your audience, getting your equipment, you know, editing and getting your RSS feed, etc., etc. So when you are starting or you decide that you want to start a podcast, you, I'm assuming, you already have like a general theme of what you want to talk about in the message that you want to share. If you don't, then definitely pick a theme, and your theme or your topic kind of goes hand in hand with your audience. So for example, my theme is motivation and self-development, self-improvement. So my audience would then be interested in self-development, self-improvement. They're interested in being motivated and they're go-getters. And that's the type of audience that fits the theme of my podcast. So they kind of go hand in hand. So you pick your theme, whether that's women empowerment, politics. If you want to talk about candles, there's also podcasts about crimes and detective work and different things like that. So pick your topic, your theme. It'll go hand in hand with your audience, but just know who your audience is, because that will help you once you start to grow your podcast. And I'll also touch on growing your podcast and even monetizing once you grow. But after you pick your theme and your topic, and you know, and you have in mind your target audience, you can design your cover art for your podcast. My cover art for this podcast is super simple. It's actually just a photo of myself, and I went and put text over the photo. I do plan to update it because I'm tired of looking at it and it is not the best quality, but I wanted to start my podcast and I had a message and I had something to say, and I didn't want the cover art to hold me back. So, and I'm glad that I didn't allow it to hold me back, because people are listening to my podcast and they would not have been listening as soon as, I don't know when I would have started if I would have been very nitpicky over my cover art. However, if you do have the time before you even start to, or if you're very artistic, or if you have artistic friends, or if you know people, if you're willing to hire out, then definitely put quality into it. I mean, this is your, you don't have to do what I did, you know, definitely put your best foot forward. Not to say that my cover art is like super trash. It just isn't the best cover art. So moving on. After you get your cover art together, you are definitely going to need an intro and an outro to your podcast. So it can be super simple. It can be like 10 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. Just something to play at the beginning and the end of each episode to kind of introduce the episode, and at the end to just close the episode. But going back up to the cover art, I want to be able to give you guys dimensions for cover art. I really want to say 1920 and 1920 for height and width for the pixels. Do not quote me. However, there is a powerful search engine called Google, and you can just type that in there You can also, depending on where you want to host your podcast or where you want to submit your podcast, you can just see what their recommendations are. Maybe it's 600 height and width pixels, but don't quote me. Just definitely make sure when you do your design cover art that you have it in the right dimensions so that it shows up and it looks good across all platforms. So once you have your intro and your outro, me personally, I got someone to record mine. I wanted originally for it to be a male voice because I am a woman and I wanted it to not sound like a similar voice to my own. And the person who did it for me, Ziggy, did it for me, and our voices actually do sound very similar. So whenever I do go ahead and change my cover art, I probably will go ahead and change my intro for the second season. Whenever that happens, however that happens, it's no rush or anything, but just letting you guys know about what I did and my thought process on my intro and outro. So I kind of just wrote some things out about what I wanted to be said or what the overall intro feel I wanted. And then I got someone to deliver that for me, recorded. I put music in the background and I made it an intro song-like type of thing. So get creative, do whatever feels right, and go for it. But you definitely will want to get an intro and an outro. So the next thing you're going to need is your equipment. Maybe you're going to need your equipment before you even do your intro and outro, depending on if you are going to record your intro and outro or if you're going to have someone come in and use your equipment to do it. You could, however, like if you're outsourcing, just find someone to record it and they may just use their own stuff and send you the file, send you the audio file of it. However you do it, if you need your equipment before, do that. But this is, what we're going to talk about after completing the intro and outro. You're going to need your equipment. So when I first started off, I was using a camera. So I would record on the camera, take the SD card out, upload it to my computer. I literally was taking myself through the most. I had to go through the most because the way I needed the audio files and then to be able to edit, I needed it in a certain format, and I was doing it on my computer, editing. And you guys can go back and listen to the first 3 or 4 episodes. I'm sure the sound quality is terrible. But it wasn't so terrible that I couldn't put it out. Like, those episodes still get listens and, you're still able to hear me and understand what's going on. However, I'm just letting you guys know that in the beginning, when I was recording on this camera picked up so much excess noise that it was unbelievable that I even posted these episodes. But again, I was just so excited and I just wanted to post something. And there were a lot of episodes that just didn't make the cut. They were just too terrible. Sound quality was just garbage. But out of the ones that I did record before I got my cover art together and before, I had a name for my podcast, because you're going to need a name as well, my whole setup was janky. So whenever you do get your equipment, just know it doesn't have to be anything super fancy. Like I said, I started off recording on a camera that took basically a video, and I took the audio from the video, converted it, edited, and then I was able to add my intro and outro to it. And then I had to go through a lot of processes to get it to the file and everything. It would take maybe 2 days to edit and get it in the right format. However, if you have the time and you don't have the money to go out and get a fancy microphone set up, use what you have. If you do have a few bucks, like the microphone that I ended up ordering from Amazon, it was like $15. It came with 2 different microphones and a little piece where I could plug in one piece into where I'm collecting the audio file, and then I can plug both microphones in. So that was perfect for when me and Ziggy were doing the show together and for when we had guest interviews or however. This microphone was $15. I think that it's a pretty decent microphone, honestly. It is mono, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm not sure, but it's spelled MAONO. And it's just a regular, it's one of the microphones that you can clip onto your body. And it came with the clips. It came with a cute little drawstring bag that I can put the microphones in and the adapter piece to where I can plug two microphones in or more than one microphone in. So I've ordered 2 of these sets of 2. So I have 4 microphones. So that's good for group discussions. And I just plug them up and I record. And the sound quality is better than with my camera because these are meant for recording things such as this podcast. So with the microphone, you're going to need a decent microphone. You can get one as cheap as $15. There are some that are like $60, $30, $100. It really all depends on what you have the budget for, and then also what's the point of buying a really expensive microphone if you don't have all of the other fancy equipment that goes with it. So if you don't have a studio that's soundproof and you're not able to get, I forget what it's called, but it's like the little screen thing that you put right before the microphone. It's like a sound, I forget what it's called. My little brother would know, but if you don't have the budget to get all of the really fancy studio equipment, your setting is going to play a huge part in getting your sound to sound as professional as possible. So in the beginning, because I had my camera, I would shut myself in the closet and I made sure that there was a lot of clothes in the closet with me to absorb as much of the echo and the sound as possible. And I would shut myself in the closet and I would record in the dark, honestly. And if I needed light, I would use the light from my cell phone. And I did that so that no outside noise or no extra sounds would be picked up, because this camera literally, every single sound, I swear, all the way on the 3rd floor of my house, I could probably hear someone opening the front door on the camera. So if I was recording, so your setting is going to play a big part. Now, ever since I have these microphones, I can just shut myself in a room, and as long as it's quiet, you won't get too much outside noise. If I am in a room where, like, let's say I'm not home, where I can find a quiet room and the room that I'm in is near like a busy street, this microphone is able to pick up those extra sounds. So, and it's also, if I'm in a room that has an echo, it'll pick up the echo. The sound quality on these microphones are really good for $15, which is why I say setting plays a huge part in how good your quality is going to sound. Now, you don't need to go out and rent out a studio. If you have the budget for it, go ahead and do it. But if you're beginning and you're not really looking, you're just looking to do this as a hobby and something fun, and you're not really looking to break the bank to do it, especially if you're not at the point of monetizing it, like you're not getting paid for it, so you don't want to put too much money into it, as far as like, you know, spending $50 to $100 on each recording session. Because remember, when you do record in a recording studio, if you're using their equipment, you're going to also need to pay for time to edit. Maybe not, depending on how you're recording and what the situation is, but just keep those things in mind. If you can just find a quiet room, like right now I'm recording in my car. This is my first time recording in my car. I did do a episode once before in Ziggy's car, which is much more quieter than my car actually, but from the podcast that I've listened to, people podcast honestly from anywhere, and it really just depends on how you're able to set it up. In my room, when I record in my bedroom, I have a little box where I just kind of put the microphone in there any way that I can. Like I kind of pop it through the bottom of the box, and I set it up on a little stand, and I put things inside of the box to absorb the sound so that when I speak into the box, the sound doesn't sound so echoey and it sounds more secluded. So you can get more ideas on how to get a professional sound and how to make your microphones work for your situation. So as far as that, really honestly, all I use is a microphone as far as equipment. And yeah, we are on our way to 50 episodes. That's my next goal, 50 episodes and 500 listeners. I'm really close to 500 listeners. So please share my podcast, like it, comment, reach out to me, email me at info@everythingnamari.com. I'll email you back. Follow me on Instagram at Namari Lifestyle or at Namari_A. I will follow you back. And let's move on to the next topic, because after you get your microphone, you're going to need to decide how you're going to want to edit your episodes, which is what I kind of talked about as far as using someone's studio. When you record an episode, especially if it's like a guest interview or just a group discussion, you're going to want the conversation to flow. Now, after recording the entire conversation, you may want to go in and take some parts of the conversation out if you feel it's not appropriate, if you feel it's too controversial, if you feel that the episode is too long and you want to split it into 2 separate episodes. You're going to want to go in and edit the audio file. So definitely decide how you're going to edit your episodes. I edit my episodes on iMovie, and then I go and convert my iMovie into an audio file. After you decide how you're going to edit them, choose how you want to deliver your show. So you're going to need a hosting site, so that way you can get your RSS feed, because ultimately you're going to need an RSS feed to submit your podcast feed to places like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So a few hosting sites where you can get an RSS feed would be Podbean, Simplecast, or Buzzsprout. I personally use Buzzsprout. They have a few different plans. They also offer a free plan. I'm not sure what the free plan comes with or doesn't come with, but my plan comes with 3 hours. And then if I needed an extra hour, I believe I could pay $4 per additional hours that I needed of space or something like that. So that was Podbean, Simplecast, and Buzzsprout. I'll also leave a link below if you want to start your podcast and you want to sign up with Buzzsprout. I'll leave my Buzzsprout link below, and I think it's like you'll get $5 off your first paid plan or something of the sorts. Now, and Buzzsprout, I really like Buzzsprout because what Buzzsprout offers is, once you upload your audio file, let's say your audio file is you sitting in your car because that's the only silent place you have to record. If it doesn't sound the best that you think it could sound, and you feel like, if you're really, really, really wanting it to sound better, if you use Buzzsprout, once you upload your file to Buzzsprout, it'll give you the option to master mix it. So they will master mix it for you and make it sound 30 times better. So, and I've also used the master mix option because they just came out with that feature, and they were doing like, we'll master mix this for free just so that you can see how it works. And, if you want to use it again. I used it on an episode that the episode didn't really need to be master mixed. I could still hear a difference, not a huge difference, but definitely still a difference. And I wonder, I'm probably just going to pay, because it's like $3 per episode to master mix it, which is not bad at all. I'm going to upload, I don't know, because it's kind of risky, right? To upload a janky sounding episode just to master mix it to see how well they'll fix it. Like, yeah, that's pretty risque if you ask me, but definitely gonna need that so that you can submit your podcast to Google or Amazon, Alexa, whoever. Now, once you start your podcast and you get it out there, these are just a few ways of how you can grow. So like I mentioned before, doing guest interviews. Now be selective and just be smart. So if you're looking to grow your podcast, you're going to want to do guest interviews with people who have followers that fit your target audience. Or you can be a guest on other shows that fit your overall theme of your show. And the last thing that you can do to grow your podcast, which is like the most underrated method, is by sharing your podcast however you can, as much as you can. So once you grow your podcast and you begin to monetize your platform, like with paid sponsorships and ads or paid interviews, and you can also get paid to do creative integration projects with other companies or other podcast hosts and things like that, you can start making money and just continue to grow from there. So happy podcasting. I really hope that even if it was just one tip in here or one piece of information, that somebody out there was able to just get that click, that spark moment where they're like, oh, so that's how I do that. Or, oh, that's so simple. She just made it seem so simple. Let me go out here and launch my podcast. Please go out there and launch your podcast. Hit me up. I'm definitely down to do guest interviews or have you on my podcast so that you can talk about your podcast. Especially if we have similar audiences, that would be perfect. And yeah, happy podcasting and happy Thursday.
Mishia Madness and Motivation Podcast was ecstatic to have you today. Until next time.